We got to talk about the losers and the winners on the defensive side of the ball. Let's talk about it. Coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there for tuning in, subscribing to the show. We appreciate all of you. You can find us wherever podcasts are downloaded, as well as on YouTube. So make sure you tune in, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss when any episodes drop. So winners and losers on the defensive side of the ball. We'll lead off with losers on this one, mainly because in the propaganda videos, the defense got beat up the entire time. Kidding. None of the videos showed that it was only the defense losing in those battles. You actually saw a Kip Lewis interception come through. You saw some pass knockdowns. You saw some tackles. You saw some winning on spin moves from defensive players. And so you got to see a lot of combinations of wins and losses, which is what's most important when it comes to showing what's going on at practice. And so in a lot of the breakdowns, one of the things you did see was Taylor Wein. He is the name that everybody's talking about. So now the question comes back to, and we'll break this down when we get to depth charts. Where does Taylor Wein fit in on the edge play? And who else is going to battle with him? Is it going to be Daniel Okoye? It's going to be PJ Adebaware. Is it going to be Marvin Jones Jr.? Of those fours, who's going to get the most snaps? Mainly because you really want to see Okoye. You want to see PJ break out. But if Taylor Wein's that dude, you need to play him. Our Mason Thomas, we already know, is going to be out there on the field. Our Mason Thomas has put up the numbers you need, so you're not concerned about him. But you got to see what the rest of them are going to look like on the background. And so it's going to be an interesting dynamic on that. But he's definitely one of the bigger winners, and the offensive linemen have definitely been losers when watching him go out there and make some magic happen. Also, from that, when you look at how the defense is, in a way, at an advantage when it comes to like fall camp, mainly because they're the ones that they have a really good idea of what the offense is going to do. But the good thing is that as they continue to push the offense and getting better, you've heard a lot of the pundits say that Oklahoma has one of the better defensive lines in the country. Phil Steele, one of my favorite go-tos for previewing the season. He thinks Oklahoma has a top 5 linebacker group in the country, which is pretty huge. You got them to help push the other side of the ball. We know that Brent Venables never lets up on the offense. He always throws the kitchen sink. He wants to iron sharpen iron. And it sounds like that the biggest winner out of all of this is the offensive side of the ball, because they're growing from watching this defense fly all over the place. The defense is winning some reps, but then the offense comes back and does what? Takes it back. Something that you all want to see. John Mateer gets picked. Plays later, guess what happens? He goes out there and throws a touchdown. There was one of the videos they were talking about who they felt like the MVPs were, and John Mateer walked up and says, Keontez Lewis, 6 catches, 6 touchdowns. Now, granted, I don't know if he got 6 touchdowns, but he may have. But you're hearing people point out how there's some winners. Then you go into linebackers. Kip got a lot of praise. Question is, what is it between Kobe and Sammy? And I love that Kobe McKenzie talked about this at Media Day, not at the SEC one, but the local one. He told Sammy that, hey, if you want this job, come take it. That's going to do nothing but make you better and me better. So they're accepting the challenge that there's a possibility someone's going to fight for their spot. And Sammy Omosigho recently was listed on a watch list that we'll talk about on another episode that piqued your boy's interest. Had me like, is Sammy Omosigho going to fight his way into a starting spot? Is he going to do that? I mean, the advanced metrics and the grades really lean in on Sammy Omosigho as someone that probably could push his way in right next to Kip Lewis. But at the same time, Kip is one that we know that's had the green dot, and he's done a really good job of directing and leading the defense. So we don't know which one's going to end up taking over it, but at the same time, the one thing that we can be excited about is there are options. I know that we have some fears of the fact that Danny Stutzman is no longer here, and so you're going to have somebody step up and take that role. And it feels like it's going to be one of committee, but that committee is going to be inclusive of a Kip and Kobe setup, with a Sammy also being boisterous. So you're not really seeing many true winners or losers out there, but you are hearing some names that are sticking out. And I guess you could consider them as your winners. Reggie Powers III is probably the biggest winner if you go with an individual of how it's gone over fall camp. He's playing a lot of strong safeties, playing a lot of cheetah, and he's running with the ones. He's probably going to be your starter going into the season. It'll be a rotation of him, Kendall Dolby, and Kendall Daniels. I expect Kendall Daniels to rotate in a lot at probably more strong safety, kind of like I mentioned before, the Isaiah Simmons type role, because of not only he being a ginormous human being, but he's physically imposing. And if you have him out there at 6'5", 235, 240, and defenses have no clue where he's going to be at, you know, that was what was terrifying about Isaiah Simmons. And so I can see that out of Kendall Daniels as well, but we're only halfway through. So far we're winning because, knock on wood, people seem to be as healthy as they're supposed to be. Chaos scenarios. I've told y'all I love this what if stuff, and I got a what if on our first 3 SEC games. Let's talk about it here on Locked On Sooners.